But before we get to that, get to talk some Georgia Southern volleyball with head coach Chad Willis. He's brought the hammer, and that was something that I told him before he got here. He had to absolutely bring.
You want me to put the hammer down, Colin?
You did in Louisiana last weekend.
Yes. I didn't do anything. Our team did. So
I enjoyed the videos. You got ice cream twice, which is always a good thing on the road.
We got Raising Cane's instead of Chipotle for the win. So, yeah.
I got you. What's your ice cream? Like, what's your go-to ice cream of choice? After the big win, what do you go to?
Well, it's funny because I I often use ice cream as a metaphor for our offense. I say I never want to be a vanilla guy. I want to be rainbow sherbet with sprinkles. Let's move the ball around and do things. Yet when we get ice cream after a win, I am straight vanilla with either Heath Bar or Snickers. That's it. That's my go-to. So
I like it.
Yeah. At least that's my shake at cookout. So.
All right. Did E dress up like Randy Savage on the road too?
He did not. He did not.
Okay.
He I think he wanted to go off the top rope on the R2 a couple times during the weekend, but no, we had to hold him back, and he was pretty well behaved. So.
All right, we've seen it on social media, but where did the hammer and all of this come from?
Yeah, so we've talked a lot this year just about our bench, the energy and fans coming into Hanner with 17 home matches this year. That we just didn't want it to be about the product on the floor. We wanted it to be about, hey, when people come and watch Georgia Southern volleyball, they get to see the entire side. So staff, bench, people on the court, like it's an energy that you don't just see, you don't hear, but you actually feel. And so we were in a team meeting just talking about some of the different antics and things that I guess you could call them theatrics, that you could see over on the sideline. And somebody talked about, you see the turnover chain and, the football has the guitar and all those type of things. And, we kind of wanted to have our own thing. And so, we talk a lot about in our gym just about chipping away, sort of that pound the stone, get after it mindset. And so somebody was like, well, what about like a sledgehammer? And so I'm thinking, okay, well, one, is Nick Skull actually going to let us have a sledgehammer in here? I could see that going a lot of different ways. So I get back to the office. I'm like, yeah, I'll take care of getting the hammer. I'll get the hammer, whatever. And so I get on Amazon and Google, like, I knew I wanted something, lightweight, like plastic or toy hammer. And the first thing that popped up was Thor's hammer. So I'm like, hey, like this looks like, it's pretty good, and comes in and we threw some stickers on there, and the next thing you know, it's taken off. So yeah, that's the story behind the hammer.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And actually what it's supposed to do is, anytime somebody comes off after like a big kill or whatever the case may be, they're supposed to, how, only Thor can pick up the hammer off the ground if you've seen any of the any of the movies. So it's supposed to be like sitting there so that person can then lift it up. But, then it started to realize, okay, if somebody's out there getting, hitting balls and getting a bunch of kills for us, chances are they're probably not coming off the floor. So that just turned into, all right, we're going to leave it there. I grab it before we start the first set and put it in the center of us. And we talk about getting out there in the first 10 points and putting the hammer down, right? Getting to the other team pretty quickly.
All right, how much of a ham are you when you're trying to lift this thing? For people that maybe have never seen it before, like, wow, he lifted that.
Yeah, like, you got to play the part, right? Yeah. So, I don't look the part, but I can certainly try and play the part. At least that's what my wife tells me, but...
You guys off to a really good start, 9-3 on the season. Had a really good weekend this past weekend in Louisiana to start Sun Belt Conference play. 3-1 against ULM on Friday, and then 3-2 against Louisiana on Saturday. Yeah. And we were talking about it before we started going live with this, that was a really big weekend for you guys, especially on the road. A lot of travel. It's not the easiest trip to get to in Louisiana, but it definitely turned out the way you wanted.
Yeah, no, I think we talked about it a lot all weekend and practice and leading up to the weekend. Just about embracing all the challenges and difficulty we knew we were going to kind of run into just with the travel. Started getting in really late on Thursday night. I think we flew into Shreveport, didn't land until after 11. Still had to drive in 4 minivans over to Monroe, which is about an hour and 40 minutes. Turn around, have to get up and practice the next morning to play a match that night. Get into the 4 vans, drive the 3 hours over to Lafayette to turn around and do the same thing on Saturday. And then all culminated with leaving the hotel at 4 a.m. yesterday morning to catch a flight out of New Orleans to get back to Statesboro. So kind of the message all week in training was, listen, like everything about this week is it's gonna suck. Like, I mean, for lack of better terms, right? Like, the travel's gonna suck. Where we go to the hotel, it's gonna be awful, and the food's gonna be bad, and the refs are gonna be bad, and the teams we're gonna play and are gonna respect us, and the gyms are gonna be bad, and all that, almost like stacking the odds against us, right? Letting our team know that everything about it, was going to be a disadvantage for us, so that all we needed to do as a team is sort of rally together, be one unit, be one mission focus, stay the course, get after it, and try and use a lot of those things to our advantage to hopefully come away. We talk about going into a road weekend. You want to split, right? In our sport, you go into a road weekend. If you can come away one-on-one and then protect home court,
sure,
you're doing pretty well. So to turn around on Saturday, especially after getting, losing that first set and coming back and doing what we did and capping off the weekend 2-0, it's just, to me, it was more of a, reassuring to our staff and to our team that, listen, the culture that we talk about every single day, the things that we're doing, the process, the investment, the time, the energy, the effort that everybody's putting in. Like, listen, it's paying off. Like, we're seeing the fruits of it, but we're not satisfied. We're not complacent with it. It was a great opening weekend, and right now, we had a day off today, give them a little bit of rest off that long travel, and hopefully now it's back to work on tomorrow to get ready for another big weekend.
What does a normal weekend, and we've talked about it before with basketball, doing the Thursday, Saturday, sometimes that lends to some pretty interesting travel
last
arrangements.
Year was the back-to-back days, so
right.
it was
you were
almost
in the same place.
COVID back-to-back,
Right.
You were in the same place, so you didn't have to travel from one to another. You guys are in a interesting situation that I don't think a lot of people realize. You're having to go from, like, this past weekend, Monroe to Louisiana, playing back-to-back days, and you got to figure out how to get there between. How much of a stress is that when you've got to get out there, get to two sites, and be back in the span of 3 or 4 days?
Sure, yeah. I think first off, I think it's the stress that you allow it to be, right, Colin? Like, so, one thing that we talk about with our team is, listen, that we can't control that. We can't control the schedule, just like I can't control the distance between, Monroe, Louisiana, and Lafayette, Louisiana.
You got the hammer,
right? Exactly, right. But the one thing, the things that we can control, right, our attitude towards it. The effort that we put into recovery and getting ready for the quick turnaround, and that's where I'll say, having somebody like Lorianne Tedder on our staff as our athletic trainer, she's done a phenomenal job. Like, we had one of the vans where she had, 4 or 5 players who played in that tough grind out 4-setter on Friday night against Monroe. She had them in her van, Normatec, like you should have seen them with their legs just hanging over the seats and elbow and arm gear on and leg gear on, just to get them in those, so that she knew they had to, it's going to be a quick turnaround, and we weren't getting to the hotel till after midnight. And so again, is it a challenge? Sure, but I think it's all in how do you respond to that challenge. How do you embrace it? How do you prepare for it? That allows you to kind of get through it and go. So
you've got getting into Sun Belt Conference play, but you had 3 home tournaments this year. It's the most you've ever had.
Sure.
What was that like, being able to be in front of Hanner Fieldhouse, be at Hanner, play in front of Eagle Nation for 3 home tournaments?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we've talked quite a bit about. Like, I think in our league, Hanner Fieldhouse is one of the best game day environments in the league.
Amen.
And I can say that for a lot of sports. You go out to soccer, you go to J.I. Clements, you go over to softball, you go to Paulson. And I think a lot of that just speaks to the passion that is Georgia Southern athletics, like the fan base and the people that come out and support all sports. So, when we knew going into a conference year that we were going to be 9 at home, 7 on the road, and knowing that we were going to, be bringing in a big freshman class and still have what I consider to be a relatively young team, I thought it was going to be really important for us to just get in Hanner as much as possible with 9 conference matches. So that was the thought process. Hey, let's schedule 3 non-conference weekends so that when we hit those 9 home matches in Hanner for Sun Belt play, we should feel pretty good about playing in there.
I know it's been a while back, but how important, looking back on it, was it to win a match in the conference tournament?
Oh, I think it's one of the big reasons why we were able to do what we did last weekend. And I look back to, and we talked about it, like we talked with the seniors, who sort of, as they were spring of their freshman year when we got hired as a staff, and so they've sort of been with us now as we've sort of implemented this culture and getting things into place. And so I told them after Louisiana, when I said, hey, seniors, I'm like, think about this, back to when we first took over and the things that we were preaching, and we didn't necessarily see the fruits of it, from a performance, from a results standpoint, but you all, you invested yourself, right? That stay the course mentality, right? You stayed the course and you trusted the process. And then you fast forward and we were able to get that big win in Foley last year, right? Which I think was kind of like, one, the monkey off the back, so to speak. But two, I think for all the returners, it gave them a little bit of a taste in their mouth of, hey, like, this is what a championship experience is like. And yeah, it was great to go and win a match, but now we want to go and we want to finish on the last day with, wrapping ourselves in a banner and coming back to Statesboro with a trophy, So I think, that sort of has been a catapult, has been a driving force for our returners going back to the offseason and what they were able to do. And then over the summer, because everything that we're doing right now isn't what I'm doing, Taylor's doing, E's doing, or anybody else is doing. Like, this is our team. This culture, like that's exactly what we're built to do. It's the work that they individually put in and the choice they make every single day to want to be the best version of themselves because they want to see this team achieve something that it hasn't done. So,
got a question on Facebook Live. Glenn wants to know, the players have a recovery process, but do you?
Do I have a recovery process? So I used to say, you take I used to big in the Myers-Briggs, personality tests, and if you hadn't guessed by yet, I'm pretty high on the extrovert scale. But I would say, as I've gotten older, having 2 kids have certainly helped this as well. But also head coaching, I'm like, there are times now where I'm like, I want to crawl into my little introvert shell and just sort of decompress. So leave me alone. Having E on staff doesn't really afford much opportunity to be able to do that, because he's just like that Energizer bunny, like that's just pounding the drum all the time. Like, let's go. What's next? Which is great in and of itself. But I think kind of my go-to is either get into a book, right? Or, maybe if there's something good on Netflix or, HBO Max or whatever's going on, just, I hate to say get on the device, but kind of get my mind
What are you binging
off
right now?
of it for a little bit. Gosh, what am I binging? What did I watch? Well, Billions, the new season, like the second half of Billions, whatever season they're on, is back on Showtime. So I'm a big fan of that show. Okay. What else am I? I'm a huge like Gordon Ramsay Uncharted, like go to different places and cook food. Like, I'm a foodie.
We got the same hair.
Yeah. Well,
Clearly
he's got a little bit more than me, but he could probably afford to have more than me. So
you got the accent going.
right. Yeah, but mainly like I like to read. I like to just get into a good book. A lot of soul searching and concepts on leadership and culture and stuff like that. So
You big John Gordon guy?
I'm a John Gordon fan. Yeah, I think he's got some good stuff. I think Joshua Metcalf is another one, Trained to Be Clutch.
Okay.
The book that we read recently as a team over the summer, Tim Grover, who if you watch the Last Dance documentary with Michael Jordan, Tim Grover was Michael Jordan's trainer for many years, and then went on to do Kobe as well and some other high level athletes. And he's got a great book out called Relentless. That was our team read over the summer, and every single week we have a quote of the week, and it all comes from Tim Grover's Relentless book. And I just love his mentality about never really being satisfied, and cleaners are always looking for the next one, and it's pretty provocative, but it's a good book. You should check it out if you have a chance. So.
You've been able to have your staff pretty much stay the same since you got here with Taylor and E. How big is that? And I know your entire staff is close with each other,
right.
Have known each other for a lot of years, but how important is it to have that kind of camaraderie and chemistry within the staff to have that transfer over to the team?
I mean, it's everything, like you talk about culture, right? And I know everybody uses that word culture, buzzword, right? But to me, we understand, we take, we accept the responsibility that as a staff, we're modeling behavior every single day. So when we talk about cornerstones, when we talk about standards, when we talk about habits, winning habits, right? You're never going to get student athletes, right, to invest themselves in those things if you don't have a staff that's modeling them every single day. And so I think in terms of the things that we talk about as a program, the things that we believe in and things that we stand for, I'm very fortunate, feel blessed every single day to do what I do with people that I love, and Taylor and E, and I've said this from the very get-go, they're family, they're a part of my family. I'm very thankful every single day that they come in and they challenge me to be better. They accept being challenged to want our program to be better. And they're just passionate about, pouring into lives of student athletes and doing it with a heart posture of gratitude, but also, hey, we're competitive and we want to win. And, I've always said, I've been very fortunate in this role that I got to hire 2 friends And it's made a big difference in what I think we've been able to do as a program, because I cherish both of them and the relationships that we have and what they do every single day to work for us.
I know I ask you about your cornerstones a lot, but where did you kind of come up with those and kind of refresh everybody on them?
So, we talk about building culture. And so really cornerstones, what we shared with our team when we first got here is, listen, like, we're trying to build something here. And when you talk about build construction, right, you're talking about building a house, you've got to have good cornerstones, right? Because if you don't have something that kind of pieces and holds everything together at the corners, then it's all just it's gonna crumble. It's gonna fall. Right. So I came in, I'm like, okay, hey, what are these, these cornerstones, these 4 things that we're going to be about every single day. And so we've got academic integrity. We talk about, your primary responsibility here as a student athlete at Georgia Southern is to get a degree. That's what's ultimately going to equip you and prepare you for life post grad. So, your end goal is get across that stage and get that degree. We have athletic excellence, right? Because clearly we want to win. We're competitive by nature, and it's why we're here. And college athletics is a business, and we all understand that. And there's a lot that goes into that cornerstone in terms of numbers and analytics and what drives all of that, sports performance, and being a 24-hour student athlete, not just being a 3 to 6 player, but being a 6 to 3 person. So those are the 2 areas, like the 2 cornerstones we talk about that everybody else sees, right? Like grades, wins, losses, championships, rings, all those. Those are things, right? And the constant quote I have with our team is the most important things in life aren't things, right? It's people and it's experiences. So the second half, like the other 2 cornerstones we talk about, leadership, right? Leadership development, and then serving others. Those are the 2 most important things, that we do. And I've said from day one, my responsibility, as the head coach of this program, right, is to foster an environment where our student athletes every single day feel like they're getting poured into to ultimately prepare and equip them for life after sport, right? And if wins and rings and championships and good grades and Rhodes Scholars and President's List and Dean's List, if that's all a part of it, yes, that will enhance the experience, but ultimately that's not what they're going to lean on 5 or 10 years down the road, when they leave Georgia Southern. It's going to be, the times and the conversations and the situations and the circumstances that ultimately help them become a better leader, become a better person, so that they now can be in the real world and hopefully share, multiply, right, and be that for others. So
he's popping on Facebook Live saying
of course he is.
saying that you do have some relaxing time, that he's not always going.
I'm not always. He would know. He shares a hotel room with me, so I don't know.
Then we've got another question on Facebook Live. Madison Brown wants to know what the phrase "caught a vibe" means to you.
I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited on this one.
I honestly have no idea. I just know that my team all weekend, I shouldn't say my team, I would say Grace Slater, who's one of our setters, transfer from West Virginia, originally from Ohio, who's a wonderful personality, and keeps us all laughing, which, if you don't have one of those on a team, you need to go get one of those on your team.
Frank's ours.
Frank, I can understand
we
that.
have Frank there.
But all weekend, all I kept hearing was catch a vibe or something like that. I can't even do it right, but she would like scream it at the top of her lungs. And so, or caught a vibe or something like that. And so I was joking, like you saw the video going around, like me going in the locker room and them completely, I mean, we're not talking just squirts of water. We're talking, I think if they'd have had a cooler in there, they probably would have just dumped that on me. So they really relished in that opportunity. But as I was doing my tweet to put it out, I was like, oh, I'll just roll with this. And I said, hey, what's that phrase you use, Grace? And she's like, caught a vibe. And I'm like, okay, so that was the tweet, caught a vibe. So that was.
Can you please do that version of the vibe?
Caught a vibe or something like that? I don't know. I don't even know if that was right. Madison, is that right? I don't even know. I don't know if she's listening. But
it was whether it was or not.
Yeah.
I think we found the new highlight for the intro, but
that should be your thing for the rest of the year.
Caught a vibe like that should be
exactly like that.
Eyebrows and all.
Eyebrows and all.
Make the net crew do the signs. By
That's right. Yep. So
you got a chance to get back into Hanner Fieldhouse this week on Friday against Coastal Carolina, first serve at 6 p.m. and then noon on Sunday against Appalachian State. What's it going to mean after we talked about the tough trip to Louisiana? It turned out results-wise the way you wanted, but a long trip. What's it mean to get back into Hanner?
Yeah, I mean, it's what we've talked about. And one thing that we talked frequently, the last couple of weeks with our team is, we're trying to break up conference play into 3 different phases, right? And phase 1, I don't think people realize, but 5 out of our first 8 conference matches are on the road, right? And so, starting off going 2-0 on what is probably our longest and most difficult road trip of the year, says a lot and speaks volumes to, I think, ultimately preparing us for the rest of this stretch in phase 1. But phase 2, the nice part about that is we come back and finish off conference play with 6 out of 8 at home, right? So I think having this opportunity, going into Friday night, starting with Coastal, first off, it's reset, reboot, and let's go, right? We're not going to hang our hats on what we did this past weekend. Clearly, it's a confidence booster for us. We're going to learn a lot of good things from it, but now it's, turn the page, because if what you did yesterday still looks good today, then you haven't done enough today, right? So we've got to get back in the gym tomorrow. We've got to get after it, work the film, get us ready to play, what I would consider to be, one of the tougher teams in the league and Coastal, and they've really been the measuring stick, the last probably 5 to 7 years in the Sun Belt for what it means to be a championship caliber program. So it's an opportunity to get a team like that in Hanner on our home floor. I think the crowd's going to be nice. They're doing that little parents weekend block party on Friday night in the Hanner parking lot. So hopefully we get some people filtering in, and it's a home football weekend. So I would encourage anybody who's coming into town to watch us play Arkansas State on Saturday. Hey, roll into Hanner on Friday night at 6 and be loud for us as we take on one of the top teams in the league and show them what we got. And then you got a quick turnaround. You got a day in between, which will be nice to help prepare a little bit for that team up in Western North Carolina to roll in here on Sunday.
His hair's standing up.
Get after
Can't
them
even
a
say
little
it.
bit. I mean, there may be a little more at stake in that match, but I don't know. But no, first things first, we've got to play a really, really solid Coastal team on Friday and get after them, and then we'll set our sights on App State on Sunday.
By the way, Madison said that's not right, but she likes the effort.
Of course it wasn't right. Yeah.
Chad, really appreciate you joining us. I know we've gone over what I told you were going to be here, but really appreciate you stopping by and really appreciate what you're doing for Georgia Southern Athletics with that volleyball program.
Thanks, Colin. Thanks, Danny. Always appreciate you guys having me.
Thank you, man.
Once again, that's head coach Chad Willis for Georgia Southern Volleyball.
I thought it was good catch the bye, but I thought
you're dragging it out a little bit more. Uh-oh. He's coming back.
Danny just did it right. Danny, do that again.
catch the bye.
Yeah, Madison. You might have to check with Madison, but I think he did it better than I did.
All right, you've got it on video, so if you
we'll
need
wait
it.
for replay after video review.
Wait, do it again. I have to echo that now. What is it? Catch a vibe.
Catch the bye.
Catch a vibe. Oh, we could all harmonize here.
Good.
Do re mi. No.
What did we just turn this into? Good night.
All right, I really got to go.
Get out of here.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Really appreciate Chad stopping by. It's never a dull moment when you catch up with Georgia Southern Volleyball, and I absolutely love it.
I hope we just started something.
Oh, I think we started something.
I
Whether
hope
it's something
we just
good or not, I don't know, but I think we definitely started something.
They got a big weekend, so if they're in the right frame of mind for Coastal and App, then we did our part.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, make sure to catch Georgia Southern Volleyball this weekend inside Hanner Fieldhouse. It'll be 6 o'clock the first serve against Coastal on Friday, and then Sunday at noon against the Appalachian State Mountaineers.